Hi everybody, welcome to a new video. So today I'm going to do a 100% delirious map with my castoncrit forbidden Rite build. I threw some random sextants in there, nothing too crazy, some strong boxes, maybe some corrupted items. Obviously it's not like Old Beyond where corrupted items are king or divines. Thought about doing rampage, but just gonna stick with ambush, you know, do all the, I can get the extra monsters. This is by no means an endgame build, but it can do 100% delirious Crimson Temple. There's a specific strategy that I had to figure out how to do it. It's not just a regular one-button build like a lot of the castoncrit forbidden Rite builds are. You actually right-click with Cyclone, and then on the left mouse, you have Withering Step, and then I just have a level 20 Molten Shell on the spacebar, and I just hold all three buttons at the same time and just move around. So basically what it'll do is, it'll cast Molten Shell, obviously, and then once Withering Step is available, it'll cast it. So I'll have Withering Step, and then once Molten Shell casts again, it will shut off Withering Step. So it's kind of a back and forth between like defense, offense, defense, offense. It works though. You can, as you're seeing here, it's slow. I have about 7-8 million damage without Dying Sun. I'll hit it occasionally. You know, I'm not really in any rush. It'd be nice if I had 20 million damage like a lot of people that that use Forbidden Rite that you see here on YouTube. I don't have a Mageblood, anything crazy, as you can see my Flaster going down. I have the three of them that just keep proccing. It's just, you know, use when the charges are full. I have gain a flash charge when you do a critical strike, which is nice. So because it is 100% delirious, you will get both bosses. So skip forward to the first one. You can see here where he is. You know, it takes a while to kill him. I'm able to make it to level 20, wave 28 in Simulacrum. I got one shot too many times. Used all my portals. But it's a super tanky build, and you know it's not insanely expensive as some of the other ones are that you might see, mainly because I use Mageblood, which, you know, adds a few hundred divines to your build cost. I'm using the boots that I spent about 40 divines to make in the other video, the elevated tail and onslaught boots. You don't need them. You know, you can get onslaught other ways. You can get an onslaught ring, you can just craft movement speed with a chance to gain onslaught, and then just use regular tailwind boots if you want. Now I get elusive from Withering Step, but I don't need elusive on my boots. It's just, you know, it's a slow process to kill the delirium bosses, especially, you know, 100% delirious map. But they die. It just takes time. I mean, I can pretty much tank, you know, anything that they throw at me. I can stop and pick up stuff when I'm getting attacked. It's a pretty great build. So we'll cut to the build, and I'll show you how it works. All right, so we'll go over the items first, and then we'll go over the gems, and then we'll go into the path building. So just standard Gemini Claw. You need it for the 14 mana for enemy hit, because mana is really hard on this build. I do have a mana flask, as you can see, but all I did for this one is just craft attack speed, get essences. You don't need deafening, you need shrieking, so you don't get over the castoncrit cap, which I'll go over as well. That can be a whole video on its own, but I'll try and cover it as best I can. I just spammed it until I got tier 1 critical strike chance. The best thing would be to get critical strike multiplier, can get fractured ones that have critical strike chance or critical strike multiplier or attack speed. Then you craft whichever one. But then you suffixes cannot be changed. Failed Chaos Orb. You can craft, I think, increased physical damage, and it gives you a semi-good chance to get increased spell damage or increased chaos damage. It took me like 3 or 4 tries, so it's kind of expensive. You could just buy one, but I prefer to craft my own stuff. Crown of the Inward Eye with Forbidden Rite enchant on it. Got a pretty lucky, got a max rolled one. I paid about 8 or 9 divines for this when I bought it. The best thing for this one would be the +1 maximum power charges, corruption, but I don't have the guts to hit it with a Val Orb yet. Maybe one day. The amulet, lots of strength, because you need it. Some more elemental resistances, level of all chaos skill gems, and then craft on channeling skills. Aegis Aurora is the most important item in the build, I would say. Gives you lots of armor and energy shield, some more res. The max cold res is very important as well, because we're using Melding of the Flesh, which I'll get into, and that's why Melding of the Flesh is why pretty much everything has resistances on it. But you recover energy shield equal to 2% of your armor when you block. So every time you block, and we're block capped on physical and spell, you get 2% of your armor back as energy shield. That's really nice. For rings, more res, dexterity, on channeling skills. Skin of the Lords. So this one's really good because of the 100% increased global defenses. They got rid of the Chola mod, so now you only get 50% from trading in all the breach rings. Now the thing that you got to be careful with these is that they'll all come with these increased global defenses. Sockets can't be modified. You can only put corrupted gems in them, and you get +2 level of gems. But the bottom one, the unique modifier Iron Grip, that's what changes in each one. So, go AFK. Strength damage bonus applies to projectile attacks, which is nice. You get a little bit extra damage on Forbidden Rite because it's a projectile. There's a lot of them that can break your build, so you just got to be careful with that. Something like there's a really bad one that you can get actually. I don't know what it is. Resolute Technique. So you never deal critical strikes. It's a castoncrit build. So if you accidentally buy that and you put it in here, you're not going to do any damage. Another ring with Despair on hit. It's only 20%. I'll eventually get a 32% one, but I need the res and the dexterity, and it's real hard to find. And I don't like crafting rings trying to get the curse on hit, especially now that Harvest, I can just go around and find caster Harvest. Gloves. I crafted these myself. You just basically get any kind of fingerless silk gloves so you can get energy shield on them. You can quality them up to 29 if you want, or you can just use 20%. And then just spam essences. I think for this one I actually just spammed chaos until I got lucky and got 2 T1 resistances. I don't need accuracy because hits can't be evaded on that one. And then you just, suffixes cannot be changed. Failed Chaos Orb. I think for this one you craft mana, fizzes cold or fizzes something, and then unveil. You get lucky, you get +2 level of socketed AoE gems, which helps for pure device. Belt, it's just a crystal belt, Crusader crystal belt. Spammed chaos. It's the only way you can get cooldown recovery, unless you have the 1 in a billion chance that it drops like that, which it won't. Spammed it. I ran over cooldown recovery multiple times, and I got pretty good res on there. Armor is nice, mana helps a little bit, and then I just crafted increased damage. These are the boots from the video. I'm still using the same boots. Chance to avoid being stunned. If you've killed recently, getting stunned while you're cycloning around, that sucks. Stops you from attacking, and then you will die. If you want to know how to craft these, I'll put a link video up here, maybe, so you can see how to craft those. Flask, 20% more armor. This one I just one charge when you're hit by an enemy, and then just some more attack speed. Still need to actually... I don't even have enough to... Oh, yeah, I guess I do. Oh, I'll do it right now. Cool. Dying Sun. Get 2 extra additional projectiles, which adds about 3 to 4 million damage, which is nice. And I have it reused at the end of Flash Effect, so hit it once. Generally, by the time it runs, I can build it up again and it cycles itself through. Usually kill the boss. Enduring Mana Flask. This is really good if you're suffering on mana. A normal Mana Flask will stop giving you mana. Once you get max mana, this one will it'll just keep pumping out mana over 7 seconds. Also have immunity to bleeding, because bleeding sucks. Bleeding, damage over time, they will kill you. Especially if, there's no monsters around you, you don't have anything to kill. You're an energy shield, so there's no energy shield flask. You could take Zealot's Oath, I guess, but bleeding's really the only one that ever gets me. The Granite Flask with increased armor and chance to gain a flash charge when you deal a critical strike. This one's pretty much always up when I'm mapping, or even during boss fights, because I'm always dealing a critical strike. And Diamond Flask with increased critical strike chance and the same flash charge, gain a flash charge when you deal a critical strike as well. As far as gems go, Anomalous Withering Step. So this does, it gives you 2 extra debuffs for Withered. So when you hit Withering Step, they immediately get 9. Assassin's Mark with Anomalous Mark on hit. Anomalous reduces the mana cost of Assassin's Mark, because I'm probably going to keep saying it, but mana sucks on this build. In the helmet, I got Culling Strike, casting damage taken, Purifying Flame, and Ball Lightning. Really, the levels of them don't matter. You just need stuff to hit stuff. That's all it is. And then you Culling Strike. Nice. For the shield, Anomalous Zealotry. Use an extra crit strike multiplier. 2%. But it adds up. Enlightened support. Could go for level 4, but my mana's okay. And then Tempest Shield is really nice. It shocks enemies, so they take more damage. And then you get 25% chance to block spell damage, and it gives you immunity to shock. Super nice. For the Forbidden Rite, just regular level 21, 20 Forbidden Rite. Power charge on crit. That gives you increased critical strike chance and more damage per power charge. It's a power charge stacking build. I'm at 7 right now. Regular 20/20 cyclone. I have Awakened level 5 castoncrit. You do need Awakened. I think you could get away with level 4. But you have to have it. So that 1, 2, 3. Supported spells have 37% increased cooldown recovery rate. You need 52. I'll go over that once we go over the build. How castoncrit works. There's a lot of videos on it as well if you want to look at those. But I'll go over it. And just increase critical strike support and volley to get 2 additional projectiles. So when I hit stuff with Forbidden Rite, how Forbidden Rite works is it'll fire 4 projectiles at whatever you're targeting, and then it just fires random projectiles around you. So it's super great for mapping. And that's also why I can do the 100% delirious maps, because I gain energy shield on hit from the discipline mod on the Watcher's Eye. For gloves, Anomalous Determination. Reason for this is just that extra chance to avoid being stunned. You get stun capped. Fear Device. That gives you an extra 5% max cold res. This puts you at 85 between this and this. It's regular Discipline, Val Discipline. Let's have it on my extra button on my mouse. It's basically like a life flask. You have to build it up because it's a Val skill, obviously. And then level 4 Enlighten. I've got Molten Shell. It is a Val Molten Shell, but I use it every once in a while. It's right here. But as I said in the playthrough, I just have it on the spacebar and I alternate between that Withering Step. Increased duration helps. I have Defiance Banner and then Flame Dash. Alright, so POB will be linked in the video below, but I'll just kind of go over some of the main things in here. Large Thread of Hope. Try to get -10 elemental resistances, and then you're going to want to take Light of Divinity, gives you extra spell damage, strength, super nice, and crit chance for your spells. Glancing Blows, so what this does is it doubles your attack and spell damage. Your block, your attack and spell damage block. You do take 65% of the damage when you block stuff instead of 0, but as you saw in the video of 100% deli map, E16, you'll be fine, as long as you're killing stuff, or even hitting stuff. And then Divine Shield is really nice. As you can see, can't recover energy shield above armor. I have like 50,000 armor, so it's fine. Then Regenerate physical damage that you prevent as energy shield. Just a regular large cluster jewel, chaos, but you get the chance to avoid being stunned from Harvest. Fortunately, it's not in there anymore, but there's still a decent amount of them out there for sale on trade. And then critical strike chance. For this one, Touch of Cruelty, Wicked Pale. You can't take this one, just depends on how much attack speed you have. You don't want to go over 10.1. Yeah. Just more critical strike chance, some resistances. And then this jewel, the Grace one doesn't matter, but this is a mandatory item for castoncrit. You just, every time you hit an enemy, you get 29 energy shield. I could divine it to get 2% more energy shield, I guess, but I don't really feel like it. This one was pretty expensive. I've had this one for a while, actually. Replica conquers efficiency with the Corrupted Blood corruption. You don't have to have it on here. You can get it on something else. Just saved me a jewel socket. Militant Faith. So you want to try and go for the reduced mana cost of skills. The challenge skills deal damage. Doesn't really matter. Your cyclone doesn't really do any damage. You don't have to get it with the Templar Dominus. You can if you have the extra currency and it's expensive. Buy any of them that have the mana cost, reduced mana cost, and then just divine it, and it'll just roll the Templars. The only reason you take this is to get this. So I have 7, so it's 21% more damage. That's the only reason. And then obviously reduced mana cost. Power charges. And you spell damage. So this one, these 3 are pretty important. You get a 4% extra chance to block spell damage, and then gain a power charge. So you always have 7 power charges, or 6, depending on how many you have, or 8. Burn projection, it's more spell damage, and then spell damage leeches energy shield. That's your leech right there. And you get 25% increased damage when you're on full energy shield, which you generally always are. Regular eye-to-eye repeater, projectile, medium cluster jewel. Now, because they took away the mana reservation efficiency, in order to run Zealotry and Determination, had to do this. Need to get a 3 passive skill mana reservation efficiency small cluster jewel, and just roll it with chaos. That didn't take me too many to get this. Increased effect was nice. I was just literally going for uncompromising and dexterity. I got lucky and got both. I actually get 7%, which is nice. So it allows me to run Determination. And then the same thing on this one. Righteous Path, which is 50% mana reservation for Zealotry. And then I specifically rolled this one until I got a high level of dexterity. And yeah, so Melding of the Flesh. If you don't know what it is, basically it reduces all of your res by 70%. But then it caps them all at your highest one. So because of the Aegis Aurora, which gives you +5 to max cold res, and the Period of Ice, which gives you additional max cold res, I'm at 88%. The reason why it's I get the extra 3% is because of non-curse auras. So anytime you see increased effect of non-curse auras, it adds to this effect. It doesn't show up, but I get 3 additional max res. It takes a lot, as you can see. I mean, I got 47, 47, 44, 52, 45, plus two-tone boots, 47, two-tone ring, 42, 33. You know, it takes a lot. I'm overcapped, but it takes a lot of resistance. And the most important thing too is chaos inoculation. So your maximum life becomes 0, but you're immune to chaos. And the reason why you have to do that is because Forbidden Rite actually hits you every time you use it. So as you can see there, it says deals chaos damage based on life and energy shield. Casting the spell damages you. So if you're not chaos immune, you will die like the second that it casts. I mean, you could have 75%, but you'd have to have an insane amount of leech. And I mean, there's no way that you could get 75% chaos res and get enough res to survive it all. Yeah, so that's it for the tree. The Pantheons, just take this one, helps with single target. So additional 6% physical damage when there's only one enemy nearby. Reduce elemental damage if I haven't been hit recently. No extra damage from crits, because the one thing that will probably kill me, and does, is just a big crit. And then avoid ailments from critical strikes. Less duration of ignite, and I don't have to worry about burning ground, and if I'm on burning ground I can move a little faster. Cyclone, you're really slow. Like with Withering Step, you walk pretty quick. Then once you start cycloning, you're pulls you down a lot. You can see Withering Step though, it speeds it up a little bit. Alright, I'm going to the path building here, and yep, there's the tree. There's the skills. Items, the one thing you want to make sure, so this, as you can see here, I'm at 8.4 million without Dying Sun. It's obviously like the perfect, you know, all my flasks are up except for Dying Sun. With just regular Molten Shell. If I turn it off, you know, still not bad. But it cycles, you know, it's off for a couple seconds. That's super nice. If I turn on Dying Sun, I'm up to 11 million damage. And I get extra fire max hit, which is super nice when you need it. If you do import this build and your configuration doesn't change, which I don't think it does, this is what it looks like. Power charges, Onslaught, Tailwind, Elusive. You don't have the same boots and you don't have Onslaught and Tailwind, make sure to take these off because it'll adjust your trigger rate. Then one nearby enemy, just so I can get the actual calculation of physical max hit. Crit recently, killed recently, hit recently. That's my banner. 15 withered stacks. That's super easy to get. So you take Malediction. So every second you inflict withered on a nearby enemy for 15 seconds. It's pretty easy to get to 15 with that and Withering Step. This is just standard. You know, any chaos build really. You can take Profane Bloom instead if you want. I wouldn't advise it. You do the Forbidden Flesh, Forbidden Flame. I don't know how you'd fit it in here. I guess if you got to level 100, you might be able to fit some extra jewels in here, but I don't see how you could pull it off. Alright, so now we're going to talk about castoncrit. Try to make this as short as possible. Basically what you want to do is, in Path of Building, check your critical strike chance. So that takes into account Assassin's Mark, your flasks, stuff like that. Crit chance has to be at 100% on Cyclone, else it's not going to work. So whatever you have to do that. Increase critical strikes, the gear that you craft. If you have questions about it, you can leave a comment. I'll help you as much as I can. Your attack rate can't be past 10.1. If you go into Pathofexile, you can see attacks per second on Cyclone is 6.13. So it's not accurate. So what you need to do is use path building. Crit multiplier doesn't really matter. It's literally your hit chance. You have hits can't be evaded on your claw, so your hit chance is always 100%. And once your crit chance is 100%, then you move on to the next portion, which is how castoncrit works. Whatever. So basically, once you crit, it'll cast Forbidden Rite. You can cast a certain amount of times per second. So you need 52% increased cooldown recovery in order to get the maximum amount. So with this, I have 37% on here and 20. Actually, I have 57. You don't need a full 20. You could get away with 15% increased cooldown from like a Crusader belt or something like that, or you get it on your boots too. But once you hit a 52% cooldown recovery, you can go up to 10.1. If you go over that, you actually lose damage because it misses attacks. So if I had frenzy charges, I could technically have up to 4 frenzy charges. Once I hit 5, see it's 10.8. Goes down to 10.7. So this is my claw right here. So path ability, if you just double click on it and click edit. So I have 26% attack speed. So if I go up to, let's say, 30, puts me at 0.32. So that'd be 10.2. I do 40. I lose 929,000 damage. Because I'm attacking too fast for the cooldown recovery of castoncrit. There's a lot of videos up there on YouTube that you can watch. If you have any more questions, feel free to comment. Send me your POB. I'll look over it. See if I can help you. Eventually, the goal is to get a Mageblood. But honestly, at this point, I like doing Delirium and Simulacrum. I've always liked it. Should be able to do wave 30 eventually. But yeah, thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll leave you with the last few minutes of that 100% Delirious map for your enjoyment.
When I'm ready, and not before.